All right, here coming up 10:47, we have to talk about weather already because we are coming off some cloudy days and now a little bit more humid in the air. Chris Mulcahy is now in the Live Impact studio. And looking ahead, Chris, we're looking at some weather alert weather.
Yeah, and
that we're going to have to be aware of, right?
Specifically tomorrow, but we'll bring up our Dallas camera. It's still cloudy, but you nailed it. It is also super muggy out there. This, what you're actually looking at, is literally our heads in the clouds. So this is 1,450 feet up. What's really interesting is we had some patchy, dense fog in the morning. Fog is just a ground cloud, and when that ground cloud is heated up, it rises up. So we're actually seeing the process of fog burning off. The problem is we have levels on levels of that cloud cover that's really tough to overcome. So as you're seeing over here in Lowellsville and Anson County, you're dealing with some pretty thick clouds just overall. So I just want to kind of temper people's expectations as far as the sunshine goes. You might see a little bit here and there, but it all in all is just going to be maybe a brighter white, or maybe you see a few spots of blue sky, but the clouds are definitely going to dominate. And as you can see, our visibilities have vastly improved from the foggy start that some of us had. Now, I want to talk about two windows. Now, today, everything's in blue, so this is just something that could impact you later on today. From 3 to 9 is your best chance for a thunderstorm today, but realistically, I think that our best chance for rain is anywhere between about 8 to midnight, and heavy rain and lightning is going to be possible during this window as we have this set up. So what you have here for this version of this future cast, I'm looking at a chance for showers starting to flourish, but notice this yellow line that I drew here. It's really southeast of this line that we're going to have the better conditions, because notice how rain is a little bit more widespread. So if you're watching from the mountains, the foothills, you're seeing rain for a longer period of time. When it rains, it gets cooler. That stabilizes the atmosphere. Where you don't have the rain, that's where you can have a pop-up shower or storm, because we have a nearby front that could do this. So notice by about 4 o'clock, you see one right around Salisbury, around Southern Pines, southwest of Raleigh, one that is just south of Chesterfield County. Those are isolated storms, but I think the best chance is really starting to flourish right around the Chirac area by the close of that window I was talking about. Outside of that, I think we're just dealing with rain. Notice how the rain becomes a little bit more widespread as we work our way through the evening, and then we get ready for round 2. This is the main event. This is why I'm here. Talk about your weather alert day, where the when, the impact, and the need. We call it our win strategy. You need to be weather alert between about 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. But I think you can really put it right in the middle. I think it's close to 4 o'clock that's going to be the better impacts for the Charlotte area, even 2 to 4, I think. The gusty winds and the hail are numbers 1 and 2 as far as our threats go, so you just need to stay weather aware throughout the day. We, of course, are going to be live streaming on WCNC Plus, which you're watching right now. So just what you're doing today, just do it later on today. Yeah, don't leave.
Just keep your TV
Just keep it on the whole time. That's what we want.
Yes.
Well, here's a breakdown. You're always going to see from the Storm Prediction Center different chances and levels of maybe it's a low or medium or high risk for the severe weather. Well, often within days 1 and 2, you can break that down into your tornado threat, your large hail threat, and your damaging wind threat. You can see that I put a weather alert icon for the highest threat, that's damaging winds. We're only going to see large hail if we have an isolated supercell. That's one that's going to spin. And then our tornado threat is fairly low. But I'm never going to discount even a near zero tornado threat, because I think you will have enough for a spin to the atmosphere. Here's the reason why. Let's raise your weather IQ. What you're looking at right now is a mid-latitude cyclone. That simply is a cold front that's attached to a low-pressure system and a warm front. Right underneath that guy, that's where you have some serious wind shifts. And this wind shift is not just at the surface, it's actually at different levels. So first off, we're more humid because we're cranking winds out of the south because of that front. That's dragging in moisture. But then meanwhile, a low-pressure system rotates counterclockwise. Notice how those winds are coming from a different direction. When you change winds with direction or wind speed with height, that's called wind shear, aka a twist of the atmosphere, which is going to allow for either a stronger thunderstorm and a better chance for a tornado. Without wind shear, you're not going to have tornadoes. So let's get to your future cast. So your future cast by your Friday morning, I think at most you might have a stray shower, maybe some more patchy dense fog here and there, but for the most part we're staying dry. Now we open up our window of opportunity, our weather alert window. By 2 p.m., we're seeing a line of thunderstorms. Any individual cell, as I mentioned, I think this is the sweet spot, about that 2 to 4 time frame, that if you have an individual thunderstorm and it turns into a supercell, that's where you could have the best chance for hail. Once you get to about 3 to 4 o'clock, notice the change. See this here, I'm going to bring up an arrow tool. You're looking at a classic signature here, and this is the worst case scenario. This is a bow echo. So see how it has a little bow, just like Katniss Everdeen here, and then often on the top side of this is called the bookend. That bookend is where you can have a spin-up tornado, but if you have a bowing segment like that, that's going to be an increased risk for damaging winds, because it physically does that, because the stronger winds within the storm are driving that piece forward compared to the rest of the front or the prefrontal boundary that's lagging behind. So that's what we're looking at. But this right here has this system moving much faster, where it looks like 2 to 4 is impacting the Charlotte area, but then the worst of the weather, where it really gains strength, is actually east of I-77. So we have a wide window, about 2 to 8, just in case this thing slows down. But I also don't want you to get caught off guard that all of a sudden 2 o'clock, this line I think is going to be in the area. It's just a matter of where it starts to see that bowing segment and when it organizes itself. So we're weather alert across the board for all of us because of that. Today and tomorrow are also quite humid. You're feeling that muggy air. Jane had mentioned it. But then once that front passes, this is a cold front, that's going to make us feel better. So by the weekend, we have the lower 80s. You should feel a lot less humid. There's a slight chance we could have a shower, mainly in the northern tier around I-40. And then after that, we're turning things up for June. Back to the upper 80s. We're still looking for our first official 90-degree temperature. We felt like 90, but we haven't hit 90. We'll be closer to that by the middle of next week. So as you can see, one day.
We don't need to be 90 just yet.
No, I'm fine with
time,
it.
right?
I'm fine with it. We're good. It typically happens on May 20th, but we're very happy to prolong this as long as possible.
Interesting. The bow,
Yep.
as it went east of the Charlotte area. Why again is it forming there? I would expect it to form a little bit sooner, no?
Well, what happens is you need to have an organization, and I actually have a really cool diagram that I'm going to pull up here.
Cool.
So the reason why you see is it takes time. So what's happening is you need clusters of thunderstorms to essentially start to kind of form together, or for it to grow. So since it's the peak of the heating, which is usually right around the end of the afternoon, it's also the front isn't arriving until about that time frame. So say if we had the front that was arriving early afternoon, I think it would have the time, it would have the energy, but it's going to take its time for the time being. So here's a classic bow echo formation. Oftentimes you'll have one singular cell, which can often about times combine into other ones, but as those winds get a little bit stronger, it pushes it forward. It pushes it forward. So as time goes by, Jane, you're seeing a stronger push within the storm. So that's why it's taking its time. So it's actively probably about stage 2 by the time it's passing Charlotte, going on to stage 3, and by stage 4, it's actually could start to be counterproductive and start to weaken and bend back on itself. But it's right in those ends that you're seeing that you could have the rotation, sometimes a break-off supercell, and you're seeing that classic signature. So I actually have other versions of Futurecast that are far less. I always like to kind of give you the worst case scenario, and then we just hope for the best.
Yeah. Katniss, you said.
Katniss
That
Everdeen.
looks like a shrimp.
A shrimp.
Oh, it does. Stage 4 is
Oh.
very shrimpy.
It's shrimpy.
I was, yeah.
As I saw that, I said shrimp.
Shrimp. I said
It's
a
actually a scary shrimp. But
It's a
shrimp.
scary shrimp.
horror.
That would be like one of those volcano shrimp, the ones that are always spicy. A spicy
yes.
shrimp, we'll just call it right
yeah.
there.
Well, now you're making me hungry.
Oh,